Assalamu alaikum. Dear students of second year honors new, that means the students who have already been promoted to second year honors through the authority of National University, that means who are auto promoted to second year honors, and who are the students of English department of Anglo College. So dear students, I hope all of you are fine by the grace of Almighty Allah, and I hope that you are doing well at home. And this is really unfortunate for all of you that you couldn't sit for the exam, that means honors first year exam, written exam, and you couldn't get the opportunity to write for 4 hours in honors examination. That would be your first experience, but unfortunately you cannot get that. Even then, as the situation is so we should try our level best to cope with the situation. And you are now the students of second year honors, and as you are already been promoted to second year honors, so it is your duty to start your classes, to continue your studies following the syllabus of second year honors. And for the reason of present lockdown, and at the same time for the long time vacation, that is corona vacation, it is impossible, maybe it is impossible for you to collect the hard document of all of your textbooks for second year honors. But even then, at the present situation, internet is just like a boon for us. And even from the remotest corner of the country, you can keep yourself in touch with studies, in touch with all type of your necessary equipments or the documents through the help of internet. So you can keep yourself in touch with your studies, in touch with your textbooks. If it is not the hard copies of your textbooks, if it is that the hard copies are not with you, even then you can get all the experiences, you can follow all the text through online, through internet. So it will not be very much difficult for you to continue your study, to go through your textbooks, to go through your syllabus, because always the internet and different types of online process, the online classes will always help you to be regular in your studies, to be regular with your syllabus, to keep yourself in touch with your textbooks. So dear students, this is the first class for you, that is from my part. This is the first class for the newly promoted second year honors students. So there are 4 major papers in your second year honors. That is, you have the paper Introduction to Drama. You will be, for the first time, you will be introduced with dramas in this year, and there are several dramas in your Introduction to Drama. Then you have romantic poetry. Several texts are there. All of those texts are from the are by the romantic poets. That is, you will have the experiences of all the great poems, all the famous poems of the English romantic poets in your romantic poetry paper. And then you will have advanced reading and writing. This is the language part, and this is an individual part. That is, in your first year honors, you have a little bit experiences of English reading skill, in English writing skill, and in addition to that, or you can say that this is an advancement of that 2 papers, that is advanced reading and writing. And finally, there is another major paper, that is called History of English Literature, a very significant, at the same time a quite difficult paper for you. That is History of English Literature. A huge syllabus is introduced in this History of English Literature. So dear students, you will get the online classes by different students of by different teachers, honorable teachers of our department, and those on respected teachers will guide you through different topics that are included in your syllabus. And I will also start certain individual text from these 4 papers. So before starting any text, at first I want to give you some introduction from your English, that is history of English literature. You know, history of English literature, you can say that this is a background. You can consider this as a background of English literature, because this will tell you the history of English literature. So this is very much essential. This paper is very much essential, very much important for all the students of English literature, because you know, history is the basement, history is the foundation, and history is the what should I say, history is the basis over which some building will be founded. That is, it is the foundation, it is the basement on which the building will be founded. So basement is very much essential, very much important, and it is very much significant. In the same way, for the growth of English literature, the history of English literature is just like the basement of a building, and it is very much significant for all the students of English literature, because without knowing the history of English literature, it is quite impossible to have a good knowledge about English literature, because to be well acquainted with English literature, you must have a good command on the history of English literature. History will make you wise. That is, this history of English literature will give you lots of necessary information about the trend of English literature, about the gradual development of English literature, about the journey of English literature from its beginning up to the present time. So it is very much necessary to know the chronological development of English literature from its beginning up to the present time. And history of English literature is that way, to know all this necessary information about English literature. That is the journey of English literature from the beginning up to the present time. And this history of English literature will make you know all those incidents, all those colorful journey of history of English literature. So this is very much important for all the students of English literature. And in your second year honors, this paper is selected, this paper is introduced or included, and it is also tough for the students of a single year, that is for second year honors. Only for a single year is not enough to cover up the whole history of English literature, that is from the early and modern period, the age of Chaucer, from the age of Chaucer, or from the old age up to the postmodern age, to cover a huge time, to cover this long time from the old age up to the ultra-modern age up to the present time. It is quite difficult for the students of literature for a single year to complete all these things. Even then, as it is included in our syllabus, that's why we should try our level best to get the necessary information, to get the most important information from history of English literature, and more importantly, we should try to focus on those points, those incidents, those questions and those short notes which are very much important to get a synopsis of these different years from the beginning up to the present time, and to get ourselves prepared for the exam. That is very much, you should be very much technical, you should be tactful, and you should go through the question paper of different years, several years, that is previous years, and you should try to make a plan. What type of questions are frequently common in the question paper of different years, and which are the most common questions. And if you just try to study the question paper of different years, then you will get an idea, a clear idea about the important questions, the frequently come questions of different years, and the most important points, most important short notes of from different ages, and that will give you a better guideline to prepare yourself for the coming exam. So this is very much important, that is, you must try to prepare yourself systematically. You know, it is a huge area, from the old age up to the present age, up to the modern age. It is a huge area, and it is quite impossible to cover all the things, to cover all the incidents, to cover all the events from this history of English literature. So you must be very much systematic. You must be very much careful to choose or to select the ages first, the most important ages, which are much more important for the coming year, for the exam of your coming year, that is for the coming second year exam. Which ages are most important to get
preparation, and then you will try to select the questions from that particular year. That is, you will try to study the previous year's question. Then you will get an idea about the most common questions from that particular ages. So today I want to talk to you with a particular age from this history of English literature, and that age is the most common, most familiar, and also most interesting age in history of English literature, that is the Romantic age, English Romantic age. And I have selected this age before my regular classes with any particular text. I have selected this English Romantic age to discuss just for a particular reason, that is, you know, in your second year honors course there is a complete paper called romantic poetry, and as there is a complete paper on English Romantic poetry, that's why today I have selected this English Romantic age to discuss in front of you, to make you acquainted with the English Romantic poets, the famous Romantic English poets, so that when we will start any romantic poet, when we will start to study any poem by any romantic poet, then you will get the necessary information from my today's class. So dear students, you know, in this romantic age, that is, today I am just talking about or just discussing about this romantic period or romantic age. You know, this English Romantic age was started at the age 1798. This year, that is 1798, is very much significant in the history of English literature, because this 1798 is called the Revolutionary year. That is, in that year the Romantic revival took place. The Romantic revival, or the official starting of Romanticism. The Romanticism was officially started from that age, from that year, that is during 1798. So this 1798 is called a milestone in the history of English literature. This is the time of Romantic revival, or the Romantic revolution, or the starting of Romanticism. And this Romanticism was started through the publication of a particular book that is called the Lyrical Ballads. And this Lyrical Ballads is called the Manifesto of Romanticism. And this Lyrical Ballads was published by two giant poets of English Romantic age, William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. That means Samuel Taylor Coleridge and William Wordsworth. These two poets were the two collaborators of
officially starting English Romantic age officially. That means they are considered as the pioneer of English Romanticism. And this lyrical ballads is called the Manifesto of Romanticism. And this lyrical ballads is just a combination, just a collection of some romantic poems. A collection of romantic poems written by, maximum poems were written by William Wordsworth, and a little portion of that lyrical ballads, that is some few poems of these lyrical ballads, were written by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. And this collection of all the romantic poems by these two great poets was called the lyrical ballads. And these lyrical ballads officially started the English Romanticism. That's why this lyrical ballads is considered as the Manifesto of Romanticism, and this lyrical ballads was published during 1798. So the year 1798 is called the beginning of English Romantic age. And in this lyrical ballads, all the poems written by these two great poets were considered as the romantic poems. So there are certain characteristics of romantic poems. And before this official starting of Romanticism, that is before this romantic revival or romantic age, the previous age of this romantic age is called the neoclassical age. And that neoclassical age, during that neoclassical age, that means during 18th century, you know, romantic age is considered as the 19th century. 19th century is considered as the romantic age. And before this age, that the age was 18th century, that is also called the Augustan age or the neoclassical age. And in that neoclassical age, different type of poetry, different type of writing were popular in that neoclassical age. That is neoclassical age, that was a different trend, that was a different type of literary trend. But through this publication of lyrical ballads during 1798, a tremendous change came in writing poetry. A revolution happened in writing poetry. That is, in neoclassical age, the poets, they followed the previous trend of writing poetry, but suddenly during 1798, a group of poets who were led by the two giant poets William Wordsworth and Coleridge, they revolted against the previous neoclassical style of writing, and they established, or they started, a new trend of writing poetry. And they followed certain characteristics, certain new characteristics in writing their poetry. And these new characteristics, this totally unique type of style, unique style in writing poetry, this different type of characteristics in writing poetry, these were introduced by a group of poets. And this group of poets were led by two major poets, William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. And they officially started 100. Another edition was added to that lyrical ballads, that is called a preface to lyrical ballads, and that was written by William Wordsworth. And in that preface to lyrical ballads, William Wordsworth, he has presented all of his argument in favor of writing romantic poetry. That is, what was the necessity of writing this new type of poetry? What was the ground of establishing this new trend of poetry? What are the characteristics of this new type of poetry? Then what are the differences of this new type of poetry with the previous poems, with the previous poetry? Then what should be the language of this new type of poetry? What would be the subject matter of this new type of poetry? Everything was cleared by William Wordsworth in his preface to lyrical ballad. And now this romantic age, during this romantic age, the romantic poets, they followed some particular characteristics which justify a certain poem as a romantic one or not. So what are the characteristics of romanticism? What are the characteristics of romantic poetry? So basically there are certain characteristics of romanticism. First of all, the romantic poets were great lover of nature. That is, in romantic poems you will get the involvement of nature in a broader scale. Nature is an indispensable part of romantic poetry. Nature is always there in romantic poetry. Nature is always at the background of the romantic poetry. So nature plays a vital part in romantic poetry. So love for nature is a vital characteristics of romanticism. Then love for beauty, that is also another vital characteristics of romantic poetry. All the romantic poets are the great lovers of beauty. Then supernaturalism, this is also a certain characteristics of romanticism. That is, the romantic poets, they love to supernaturalize the natural events in certain points of their poems. In several poems you will get this example, that is, the romantic poets, they popularly try to supernaturalize the natural events, and Coleridge is the master in that case. Then the romantic poets are very much nostalgic. That is, a nostalgic feeling, love for the past, it is a common characteristics among the romantic poets. Then romantic poets are highly imaginative. High imagination is a very common characteristics of romantic poets. It is said that romantic poets always love to live in the world of imagination. So high imagination is a vital characteristics of romanticism. Then emotion and high sensitivity is also a characteristic of romanticism. Then romantic poets, all the romantic poets are directly influenced by the French Revolution. That is, fraternity, equity, humanity, these type of characteristics highly influenced the romantic poets. The motto of French Revolution greatly influenced all the romantic poets. So you in the poems of romantic poets you will get the song of humanity, that is their sense of humanity, their love for the common people, their love for freedom, their love for the downtrodden people. This is very much common among the romantic poets, in the poems of the romantic poets. So love is also a vital characteristic of romantic poets or romanticism. Then simplicity, this is another major characteristic of romantic poets. Romantic poets always love to express their feeling in the most simple way, in the simplest way. So simplicity is a vital characteristic of romantic poets, of romanticism. Then simple language, that is, this was the guideline for all the romantic poets, that the language for romantic poetry should be chosen from the language of common man. That is, the language of common man will be the language of poetry. That was the ideal of the romantic poets. Then in choosing the subject matter, romantic poets were also very much liberal. They always try to select even the meanest object from nature, even the simplest incident from human nature. They try to select those simplest object or the meanest object from nature as the subject matter of their poetry. So simplicity is or the common thing, common everyday thing was the choosing fact for the romantic poets. So these are the vital characteristics of romantic poets, and there are several romantic poets in your syllabus, that is the vital or the major romantic poets, they are included in your paper in romantic poetry. So among those major or great romantic poets, the first one was William Blake. The first one is William Blake, and in case of William Blake, it is said that he is considered as the precursor of romanticism. You know, William Blake, he was the transitional poet. That is, he was the poet who developed his career at the ending of 18th century and also at the beginning of 19th century. So he was in between of two ages. He also had the experience. He also had the experiences of the Augustan age or neoclassical age, and also the experience of the romantic age. He started writing poetry before all of the romantic poets. That is, even before the official starting of romantic revival, the official starting of romanticism during 1798, William Blake, he started writing his own poetry, and it is very much what should I say? It is surprising that all of his poems are considered as romantic poems. That means he had started writing romantic poems before romanticism was officially started. Before the declaration of English romanticism, he had started writing his poems, which were later on considered as the romantic poems. So he is considered as the precursor of romanticism. And another point that I have missed in discussing about the characteristics of romanticism, that is in the characteristic of romanticism, another vital point I have missed, that is mysticism. Mysticism, and another point is pantheism. Mysticism is a common characteristic of romanticism, and this mysticism is the process where there, through a deep meditation, the creation wants to be connected with the creator. That means when the creation of God, the creation of the creator, through a deep meditation try to be connected with the creator, this process is called mysticism. Or you can say that mysticism is the process of being connected with the creator. That means a connection was made between the creation and the creator, and this is a supernatural process, or you can say that it is a mental process. And in a deep meditation, when a human being or when a human soul in a deep meditative mode tries to be connected with the creator in his own thought process, this process is called mysticism. That is, when the soul of a creation, when the soul of the man is trying to be elevated from his mortal body and to be connected with the supreme authority, that means the God, that process, that elevated process or the sublime process is considered as mysticism. So mysticism is also a vital characteristic of romanticism, and this mysticism was introduced in romantic poetry by William Blake. In William Blake's poetry, we get the use of mysticism in many places of his poems. In several poems of William Blake, we notice this mysticism. And William Blake is considered as a mystic poet. Among the romantic poets, especially he is known as a mystic poet. Then William Wordsworth, I have already told you that William Wordsworth is the pioneer of English romanticism. And he has another speciality among the romantic poets. He is considered the pantheistic poet. That is, he is a pantheist. And this is because of his excessive love for nature. You know, all the romantic poets are nature lovers. Love for nature is a common characteristic of romanticism. So all the romantic poets are the nature lovers. So William Wordsworth is also a nature lover, but he was exceptionally, his love for nature was exceptional from the rest of the romantic poets. That's why he is considered as a pantheist. And his pantheism, his theory in case of his expression of love for nature is considered as pantheism. So this pantheism, this is called when William Wordsworth has given a theory that in nature God exists. That means God does not exist in any remote places or somewhere about which we don't have any idea. Some unknown places. God dwells in some unknown places. According to William Wordsworth, it is not that. William Wordsworth believed that God dwells in nature. So God is a part of nature. According to his belief, God is a part of nature, or the spirit of God dwells in nature. So to worship God means to worship nature means to worship God, according to Wordsworth. Wordsworth believed that as God exists in nature, as the spirit of God exists in nature, so to worship nature means to worship God. And this special belief of William Wordsworth is considered as the pantheistic belief. This is called pantheism. So William Wordsworth, among the romantic poets, he is specially known as a poet of nature. Then about Samuel Taylor Coleridge, you know, he was the collaborator of William Wordsworth in establishing this romanticism, English romanticism. And Samuel Taylor Coleridge, he is known as the supernatural poet. He is the poet of supernaturalism among the romantic poets. Especially he is known as the poet of supernaturalism. And the reason is that Samuel Taylor Coleridge, he preferred to supernaturalize the natural events in his writing. And in the writing of Samuel Taylor Coleridge, frequently you will get this. You will notice this fact that Samuel Taylor Coleridge always try to supernaturalize the natural events, and ultimately he becomes successful. That is when he treats, when in his poems, when he gives the delivery of the natural events in a supernatural way. For the time being, the readers become very much convinced to believe those things as something supernatural, even knowing that there is nothing called supernatural. Even in such a situation, for the time being, the readers become convinced to believe those natural things which are described in a supernatural way. The readers are convinced to accept those supernatural description as something acceptable. And that's why Samuel Taylor Coleridge is considered as the poet of supernaturalism among the romantic poets. Then about Percy Bysshe Shelley. Then comes John Keats. You know, John Keats is a very significant poet and a very short-lived poet among the romantic poets, and he is very much significant among the romantic poets because of his special qualities, because of his outstanding characteristics, outstanding qualities. And John Keats is known for his outstanding qualities with several titles, with several names. He is called the poet of beauty. He is called the Hellenic poet. He is called the poet of sensuousness. He is called the escapist among the romantics. So several titles are used for knowing or for after the name of John Keats. John Keats is known the poet of beauty because he has presented beauty in his poetry from a different angle and also from a very popular angle. And he has given a popular theory in his poetry, that is, beauty is truth, truth beauty, that is all. Ye know on earth, on all ye need to know. Very famous quotation known by each and everybody. And this theory, because of this famous theory and also because of his special treatment of beauty in his poetry, John Keats is known as the poet of beauty. He is also called the Hellenic poet because in his poetry we get the frequent use of Greek words, Greek terms, Greek references, and because of these Greek references, Greek words, Greek literature, he is considered as a Hellenic poet. Then he is also considered as a poet of sensuousness, as a sensuous poet. And sensuousness is a certain quality that in writing poetry, this sensuousness is applied, specially applied, and this is such a quality where the writer applied a technique or a style so that he can involve all the five senses of the reader in his description. That is, the description will be so touching, so effective that through this description it will involve all the five senses of the reader. The reader will feel the description, applying all of his five senses. For example, his touch, his feeling of touch, his feeling of smell, his feeling of eyesight, his feeling of taste, his feeling of hearing. All these five senses will be involved in the description of the poetry, and the reader will feel that all of his five senses can enjoy that poetry, and this is called the sensuousness. And this sensuousness was very much prominent in John Keats's poetry. That's why he is called a sensuous poet. Then he is also called an escapist, because when you will go through the poems of John Keats, when you will read about his biography, you will know that John Keats's life was very much pathetic. He had a very sad life, a very life of mourning. That is a very mournful life he passed. And because of the sorrowness, his personal sorrowness, he always tried to escape from the world of reality, and he always tried to get shelter in the world of imagination. And because of this tendency, he is called an escapist. Then come to Percy Bysshe Shelley. Percy Bysshe Shelley, among the Romantic poets, he is known as a revolutionary poet, because in his poems we get the revolutionary spirit, we get the revolutionary ideas, the new ideas, the ideas of breaking about the tradition, the ideas of destroying the old order, destroying the unfruitful orders, and to bring about the new order, new laws, and new life. And because of this revolutionary ideas, because of this revolutionary spirit, he is considered as a revolutionary poet. Then finally, another poet, he is called Lord Byron. Lord Byron is quite different from the rest of the Romantic poets, and Lord Byron, he is also a Romantic poet, but he is quite separate from the rest of the Romantics. And in case of Lord Byron, he is in his poetry we get that his poetry are related to life. His poetry are related to life and death, at the same time life and death, and the growth and decay that take place in nature. That is also the vital point of his poetry. Then he also discussed about mankind. That is the issue or the subject matter of his poetry in many cases is mankind and nature. And while the other Romantic poets try to deal with the world of imagination in their Romantic poetry, Lord Byron, he preferred to reveal the truth. He preferred with the revelation of truth in his poetry. So this is all about the great Romantic poets that are included in your paper, Romantic poetry. And in case of getting yourself prepared with the particular age, English Romantic age, then you will have to go through the Romantic poets. That is, from this Romantic age, the vital point or the most common question will be from the Romantic poets, because in Romantic age, Romantic poets were the most important literary figures. In Romantic age, The Romantic age was significant because of the Romantic poets. So from the Romantic age you will get preparation over the Romantic poets, major Romantic poets. So at first you will have to know about the beginning of the Romantic revival, that is the beginning of Romanticism, that is the starting of Romanticism through the publication of lyrical ballads, the preface to lyrical ballads, and also the influence of French Revolution on Romanticism or on English Romantic poets. Then you will get preparation over the major Romantic poets, William Wordsworth and Coleridge. As these two poets were the collaborators, so you will prepare a question on both the two poets combinedly. That is, write a note on the great Romantic poets William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So this is a common question from this Romantic age, and then individually you will get the preparation over each and individual Romantic poets, especially John Keats, Percy Bysshe Shelley, and also about William Blake as a precursor of Romanticism. So from the Romantic age you will only get the preparation from the Romantic poets, not anything else. So this is all about my today's discussion. So dear students, today I had the intention to just to make you familiar with the Romantic poets, as you have another paper, English Romantic Poetry. That's why from my today's session I only wanted to make you familiar with the major Romantic poets. So from the Romantic age you will have to get the preparation from this from those great Romantic poets, and I hope I will try to take another class from the Romantic age, that is from English history of English literature. I will try to take another class from this Romantic age, and in that class hopefully I will give you some important information and important notes on particular events and also from particular related issues in Romantic age. So dear students, this is all about my today's class. I hope all of you will be safe at home and you will try to keep yourself regular in your study. Thank you.